unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
And please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, rock stars of the kick-ass unstoppable nation? It is I, Christopher Rausch, your No Excuses coach, back here for another episode of the Raw and Unscripted show. And we're excited to be here. Here in the United States, it is Thanksgiving week. So tonight's conversation is about gratitude. It's not only about gratitude, but it's about the gratitude for the shitty things that happen in our lives and the people that betray us and the things we get fired from and the jobs, all the different things that happen. We're going to be talking about that. But not only that, if you notice, you guys watching on the video cast, my studio is expanded. My studio screen, I should say, has expanded. So I have expanded the screen, and I'll let you know something. There's another microphone. I'm just saying. There might be a special guest tonight. But anyways, hey, let's talk about last week. Last week we had a great podcast. It was called what did we call it last week? Here. Oh wow, that's crazy. The title got erased. But anyways, this is Mentally Checked Out. It was about when we check out and what the different things we could do to check back in and the study questions that we can actually ask ourselves. But usually, it's all about the excuses that we give. And that's what I talked about. So here's an example of what we talked about on the show. I don't have time. I'm not ready yet. It's just who I am. I'll be happy when. I can't help it. It's too late for me. I'm not good enough. It's not my fault. I've already tried everything. This is just how life is. So I took each one of those and I talked about what the opportunities are within those. And I talked about the early signs of mental disengagement. I talked about why we check out without realizing it. I talked about the emotional cost of staying checked out, how to reignite your presence and your engagement, how to rebuild inner momentum, and then also some study questions. So as you could tell, I was reading that because here on the Raw and Unscripted show, sometimes I actually put a little script into it. I'm not even really a script. I actually make myself notes because I'm so passionate about this show and I'm so passionate about you guys check in every single week. I was just telling somebody today about this. I said, my intention is that somebody listens to the show and by listening to it, they think about their life just a little bit differently. They think about their past, present, and their future with opportunity and curiosity and just the ability for us to like examine where we're at and flip things on the other side. Like, what would it be like if I didn't have this fear? What would it be like if I didn't have this feeling of inadequacy? What would it feel like if I didn't feel like I was ugly? What would it feel like if I had all the confidence in the world? And then saying, okay, if I did, I would walk this way. I would talk this way. I would act this way. If I was, and I used to do this for myself, like when I was in my job, and I wanted to become in management, I sat there and I said, okay, I have to start acting like a supervisor. I have to start dressing a little bit more professionally. I have to start acting a little bit more professionally. I have to act as if, right? And sometimes we got to do that in our life. What's going on? We got Ryan Walls, I'm going to mess up your name. Ryan, fucking hell. Sorry about that. What's going on, man? I don't have my glasses on and I can't reach them. But anyways, what the fuck? Yeah, he's the throat goat. All right. I'm not sure what's up, Ryan. But anyways, this is not a go white boy. Yeah, I think somebody's bored. But anyways, on this conversation tonight, most importantly, so I encourage you to go back and check that out. And it is in case you guys are listening to the podcast, which is most commonly, it was podcast number 343. It was dated November 18th last week. And this week here, like I said before, it is Thanksgiving week here in the United States. And so we're talking about gratitude. And let's just talk about that, just the act of gratitude. People ask me all the time, like, Chris, you always seem so positive and so energetic and everything. And I'm like, I'm not always. And when I have those moments, it's that opportunity for me to kind of re-examine where I'm at. And if I'm in an inadequacy, if I'm in a worthiness, or if I'm in a scarcity kind of mindset where I'm thinking, oh, what if, then what I have to do is just shift it. And number one, ask myself that question. Okay, what would it be like if I didn't have that fear? What actions, what opportunities, what characteristics, what values would I embody right before that becomes successful? right? So often we want the success without doing the commitment of what it takes to get better. Like people have asked me, like, how long have you been doing the show? I've been doing the show for 6 years. I know people have done, and I'm on episode 343. I've done an episode every single week. I don't know how the math adds up, but it does. We've started January 2019 and we've been going, we've done an episode every single week. And sometimes it takes 8 years, takes you 10 years, the time's going to go by either way. And this is all preparing me for what's next. So when you think about the challenges, you think about your struggles in your life, like, okay, is this preparing me for what's next? And when you go back and you look at your life, you look at all the challenges and all the things that in the moment you were pissed off about, the betrayal, the backstabbing, whatever it might be. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more in more detail. When you realize those things were the catalyst for you changing, right? It could have been a relationship that wasn't even your fault that it ended, but the growth that you experienced and the heartache that you experienced and the reexamination of your feelings and your intentions and what it is that you really desired in a person, that came to light. Or the job that you got fired from, or whatever it might be, there was opportunity in that. And there's an opportunity to look back and be pissed off that it's not still happening. Or there's an opportunity for you to say, okay, what's next? Right? Because when you think about this moment in time right now, if you're going through struggles, and I know a lot of you guys are, we all are, right? People, oh, you're so positive. I'm like, no, trust me. I had my moments. I had my moment yesterday where I didn't want to get out of bed. Truth be told, I was just like, oh, maybe if I slept for just a little bit better, I would, blah, 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 whatever it might be. Ultimately, you just have to get up and move. Sorry, I got distracted by this comment. Ryan's star was taken. Oh, Rye's star was taken. Oh, Ryan's wasted. I don't know. But thank you for joining us. What's up, Robert Broker? Thank you for joining us, and all the other beautiful people who are watching and not commenting, or the people that are actually listening on the podcast. Thank you so much. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I did make a couple of notes because I have to keep myself on track a little bit, but in this conversation tonight, what was that? What that was? I had something open that I didn't need to be open. Distractions. What's going on? Type in the comments what you're thankful for. So tonight I titled the podcast, Stop Ignoring the Gifts in Your Struggles. And here's what I wrote. You survived so many painful events and you still don't give yourself credit for the unstoppable warrior you are. Tonight we're talking about why even the painful chapters in your life deserve growth. And then here's kind of what I put down here. The gratitude for the losses that revealed who you really are. So that's point number one. The gratitude for the losses that revealed who you really are. So think about this. I've gone through a lot of losses. One of the losses that I put down here was Bill White, my mentor. I have well, actually you can see it, that quote right there. You're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. If you notice down in the bottom for you guys watching on the video cast, which you can do every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, it says WTW, William T. White, Bill White. He was the guy that said to the 17-year-old homeless 7th grade dropout who was smoking cigarettes, living in an apartment with 5 guys and eating ketchup sandwiches. He said to that guy, you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. Long story short, that guy pushed me and inspired me and gave me so many opportunities. But ultimately, when you think about the losses that reveal who you really are, I got to hold his hand when he passed away. This was way after my marriage ended, which is another loss, but also a benefit. We'll talk about that for a second. But Bill, I held his hand, and it was way after we got divorced, and he and I had become separated, but right before he had a heart attack and went into a coma and all this other stuff, we kind of reconnected, and it was really a beautiful thing. And he's such an inspiration in my life. I don't know what I would have done without him, without Tammy. And I talked to Tammy. I just talked to my ex-wife just the other day, texted her. She just had knee surgery, checking in on the family. Her mom's got some stuff going on, so I reach out to her. So I'm still even friends with the family, and got divorced in 1993. I had to remember there for a second. I was married for 5 years, but when Bill died, I can't remember the exact year right now, 2001, 1999. I can't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. When he took his final breath, I burst into tears and really didn't know what to do. And I drove to the beach and I thought about it, and I really kept asking, like, what's this life for? Like, how did I just witness this? This person came into my life, such a beautiful human being. And why is he gone? Why did this happen? I was, at that time, 23 years old, I think. And, through that loss, there have been so many times in my life, especially in leadership. I was in leadership for 30 years and management and all that stuff, operations. And there would be so many times I'm like, what would Bill do? What would Bill say? If I went to Bill right now and said, hey, Bill, I got this situation. I got this employee. I got this challenge with management. I got this, challenge with the vendor. I've got people not keeping their time commitments, whatever it might be. What do you think, Bill? What's rattling in your brain? And he would say, hey, Chris. And he had this Buffalo accent. And he would sit there and he would tell me stories and experiences and wisdom and books he's read and people he's talked to. And so I thought, out of this loss, how can I be a little bit more like Bill? I lost somebody in my life. And I say, how can I be a little bit more like Dana? How can I be a little bit more like John Bon Jovi? How can I be a little bit more like people that I admire and people I respect? How can I be a little bit more like David Goggins? How can I be a little bit more like, how can I be a little bit better interviewer? And you think about the losses in your life, and that loss for myself and for the family, it offered us the opportunity to get stronger, for Beverly, his wife, and Tammy's mom to get stronger. The loss of my marriage, through that I spent a year after that marriage, when it ended in when I was 23, and I spent a year having to rediscover who I was. And I didn't have any friendships and relationships. And I'd already been homeless and then got married and did all this crazy stuff. And now I was 23, 24, and I was trying to figure out my life, and my career was just starting to kind of a little bit. There was so much tribulation going on. But again, through those losses and through my desire for self-awareness, and say, okay, what am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to grow? And the thing I talk about so much is, people, how did you go from being a 7th grade homeless dropout? How did you go from all those situations to having a master's degree, to having a successful coaching business and speaking and career and all this, and a family and all these different successes that you have? And it's because I never gave up and I never stopped. I never gave up and I never stopped. And God's honest truth, as we're talking about this, the gift in your struggles, is I was just thankful. I was thankful I had an apartment that I barely was able to make rent on. It was a bachelor apartment. It was a studio apartment. My kitchen sink was a bathroom sink. I had a hot plate, a toaster oven, a microwave. It was the best. And I lived there for over a year, I think. And I went to the gym and I just got to know myself, because it was always Chris and Tammy, Chris and Tammy, Chris and Tammy. But now it's like, who's Chris? Who's Chris without his mother? Who's, in the homelessness and the abandonment and the bullying and all this shit. If I didn't have that loss, if I had still been married and Bill had still been there, I would have still been in my own ways, and my own self-destructive ways, and my own escapism ways. So through that loss, it was actually something I gained. Something I gained. What's up, Andrew? I'm really happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, brother, for being here. I appreciate and love you guys so much. Thank you. You guys have no idea how much I love and appreciate you. Andrew says here, stressed, in pain, in bed, but alive and kicking. Amen, brother. Thank you for being here. This show is absolutely live tonight. Hi. I've done a couple of shows recently where I've been recording them, because I've been going through my own health journey. And just by the time it gets to be 7:00 here in Southern California, I'm tired, but I love doing these live because I love interacting with you guys. I know people are watching. I know people watch on the East Coast in the morning when they're getting ready and doing stuff like that, and listen to us obviously in the podcast. But thank you so much. And so I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for you guys big time. And the podcast is doing amazing. And just to give you a little bleep, bloop, blop, 2026, I'm going to go back to interviewing a lot more people. This year, it's been a lot of solo shows, because that's what you guys asked. You're like, Chris, we just want you. But now we're going to go back to interviewing people, and I'm going to be doing series of shows. And we're also going to be doing shows where it's not just me teaching you or talking about my experiences. Let's learn together. So there's things out there. There's things called toxic masculinity that I really don't know about. I've heard about it, but what is that? What is going on with the young boys and young men in America who are not having sex? What's going on with that? What can we talk about? How can we learn? And it may not be anything that's in our lives, but having a bigger understanding of what's going on in the world and what people are struggling with, to have that empathy and that compassion. Man, if you're raising a teenage boy or a teenage girl right now, man, I have so much empathy for you. And I'll tell you this, if you're in leadership, and I know some people that watch us are business leaders and they have staffs, like, know what's going on in your people's lives. Like, if they have teenage kids, like, fucking hell, man, I can't even imagine that, the social media pressure and everything else that's going on. But again, going back to that gratitude for the struggles, right? It's pretty incredible what it is that we can gain from those losses. I mean, pets I've lost, it all comes down to It really comes down to your character and your values. I was just talking to somebody today, having a very, very tough conversation. Very, very tough conversation. I won't give you any more information than that. I have a lot of tough conversations, but this one was pretty tough, and it had to be very honest. And I had to tell them that, a lot about what we choose and the opinions that we have come down to our character and our values. And some people choose things in life and choose people in their life that indicate potentially what their character is and what their values really are. Right. And so I had to have that conversation. Like, who are you really? And you be honest with yourself, right? Do you live in a place of love, as my friend Scott Goyette would say, or a place of fear? Love or fear, that's your choice. You don't get to operate in both. I mean, yeah, throughout your day, but overwhelmingly, when you wake up in the morning, do you have a sense of joy and a sense of love in your heart for your fellow man and woman and what the struggles are going through? Or do you have hatred and frustration and anger towards people who disagree with you or have different bumper stickers or whatever? Right? What is your character and what is your value when you think about things that are challenging? Right? How can I be grateful for this? What am I supposed to be? One of the biggest questions you can ask yourself is, what am I supposed to be learning right now? Well, how am I supposed to be growing? One of the other bullet points I put in the show promo was the gratitude for the so-called failures that redirected your path. Right? I gave this a lot of thought. Oh, Chris, I failed, made so many mistakes. I'm so afraid and all this other stuff. But again, when I look back on my life, there are no failures. There are no failures. Honestly, no. Were there things I could do differently? Were there things I did badly? Yeah, I mean, there's different definitions. So make sure you're looking at that. But when you say, oh, I fucked up and I failed this and no. Did you learn? Did you learn? Did you grow? Did you have an opportunity for insight? In my corporate life, I went through a lot of different quote unquote failures and mistakes and fucked up a budget one time, $30,000. $30,000 I screwed up because I put the wrong color in the instructions. I said blue for this and red for that, and it was reversed, and it caused a different price list to go out to two different people, lots of people, and it became a big thing. And oh man, no, that was a fucking huge learning lesson. That was a benefit. That was a blessing. It was a blessing because it got to show people my character, how I acted under pressure. And feel like, way you handled that, Chris, fucking changed my opinion of you. Let that sink in. Let that sink in, motherfuckers. That situation you handled illustrated your values and your character, your ability to make decisive actions under pressure. We spun it around. We flipped it. Like I said before, how can you flip the problems and the challenges in your life? How can you look at them as opportunities? I have so many problems, Chris. Hey, yeah, fucking hey, man. I can count my problems too. I can play that game. I can play that game right along with you. Oh, I've got this and I've got this and I've got that. And sometimes I do that, but then I go, what fucking Chris, really? And I have this conversation in my head, fucking Chris, really? Rausch, come on. What's going on, dude? Are you really that person? No. Then why are you being right now? Is this acceptable? The way you're acting in front of your son, wife, friends, So when you think about failures, I think about the relationships. I think about this when I thought about that question. How different would my life be right now had I not made some of those mistakes? Maybe people had the perception of me and maybe I would have got fired. Maybe this, maybe that. Maybe I had not made those failures. I would have made another mistake. Maybe I would have never learned my lesson. Maybe if I didn't have people that were honest in my life to say, Chris, you screwed up. If I didn't have those people in my life to be honest, maybe I wouldn't have learned. Somebody, I don't want to tell them. I don't want to hurt their feelings. You got to be honest. I just had to be honest today again. Those things suck, but you feel good about yourself because that's your character and your value, man. I told the truth. This person asked me a question and I said, do you want the truth? How bad do you want the truth? And when I have situations like that, I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you want the truth? And 99.9% of the time people stop and go, and think about that. I'm like, yeah, do you want me to tell you the truth that makes you feel good? Do you want me to tell you the truth that's going to fucking hurt your feelings to your core and tell you shit you don't want to hear? Right? Sometimes I don't say anything because I'm just like, that person's on a journey and they need to find that truth for themselves. I can't rob them of that journey. I was just talking to a friend recently and he was going through something and I was like, could I say something? Yeah, but you know what? It's their journey. They know. I know they know. and they don't need me to say it again. So, but in some situations, you got to kind of say that again. And maybe the next conversation will be that escalation to say, hey, all right, I got to tell you something, man, because I really care about you. So when you think about that, I think about where would I be if I hadn't made those mistakes? Maybe had I, things worked out. Your one choice, your one action. I keep this on my desk all the time. I haven't shared it in a while, but I literally keep it on my desk all the time. And it says, for you guys listening, you never know how close you are. Never give up on your own dream, or never give up on your dreams. I don't know why I saw own. You never know how close you are. Never give up on your dreams. And it's two guys up and one on top and one on bottom. They're both going for the diamonds. And one guy is almost there and he gave up and he's walking away. And the other guy's just chipping away. And so when I told you, like when people say, how are you successful? How are you happy? How are you this? I just went and had a cardiology appointment today. The guy looks at me and he's like, you're 56. I said, I'll be 57 in January or February. He's like, man, I got to get to the gym. I'm like, right? Fucking feels pretty good. But I never stopped and I never gave up. I mean, I do a shitty job of selling them, but I sell these bracelets. I sell them every once in a while. No excuses, and believe is on the big blue one with white lettering. And this one says unstoppable and says no excuses. As you can tell, I'm wearing them. I wear them all the time. I love them because it reminds me that I'm one choice, one decision. Keep going. Like, and there's been times this year I thought, maybe I'll stop the podcast. No. What if in the summer of 2026, and I had Joe Rogan experience looking at me on LinkedIn of all places. I had the Joe Rogan experience checking me out. Who knows? I get on fucking Joe Rogan. My life is different immediately, overnight, 100,000%. Right? We're all that one thing away, but then we give up and we hide ourselves. Darlene Eaton, I was thinking about you earlier. I was hoping you were going to join us. Thank you. She says, evening friends. Thank you. Thank you. Meredith McIntosh in the house. My kick-ass sister. What's up? Says, hello, Christopher. Thank you, my dear, for being here. Appreciate you guys. I love you guys. This show's about gratitude, but it's about gratitude for the challenges and the failures. And I know, Meredith, you're going through some shit right now. I've been going through some shit. Remind me to send you the video that I've been sharing with people that really talks about this. And again, I can talk about it right now because we're talking about, gratitude for the shitty experiences. Actually, let me give you the next bullet point. The next bullet point. And the other thing that one. So the next one is the gratitude for the people who left because it made room for the ones who truly belong. Again, let me read that. The gratitude for the people who left because it made room for the ones who truly belong. I have old friends, best friends, you want to call them that. I've had business partners. I've had the business. I just put it here. I put a note here. Business partners and collaborations just since the year 2020. It's now 2025. We're in November. And I just started thinking back, like the podcasts I've done, we're going to do this. We're going to do the Visionary 5. We did the Unfiltered Experience, which we still actually, Scott and I are going to start that back up in 2026. We're going to do it once a month, I think. I did Rainbows in Real Life. I did, Jesus Christ, or the Visioneering Experience, the Visioneering 5. There were so many different things. And I'm grateful for them and the experiences that I had. And maybe they didn't happen, but maybe something happens different down the line. Maybe because of that, who knows? There's so many possibilities, but there's no possibilities if you sit there and you limit your beliefs and you sit there and you think you're a victim. So the people who left, man, be thankful for the people who left. A reason, a season, or a lifetime. A reason, a season, or a lifetime. That's how people come into your life. A reason, a season, or a lifetime. And, it sucks and it hurts and it's all those things. But, then you get new people in your life. And you get people who get you on this level. I was helping somebody else recently, a coaching client, and she asked me something to the effect of, as you work on your personal development, your personal growth, and your inner peace and all that stuff, what happens to the relationships around you? And I said, they often fade away. And it sucks. And it sucks. You want your friends to escalate and elevate with you. Come on, man, read these books. I remember when I Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins up there. I remember I was telling my friends, you got to read this book. You got to read this book. You got to read this book. None of my friends read the book. Fuck, that book's big. Yeah, but dude, it's packed full of so much stuff that's going to rewire your brain into being a victor. I can't afford a book. All these excuses. All right. Those people are still spinning the same fucking excuse 20 years later. Some of them are worse that I know of. Right? So when the people leave, they make room for other people and people you can have deeper conversations and meaningful conversations and people that ask you, hey, Chris, how are you? Right? I've had a couple of conversations recently and the people didn't ask how I was. And I was like, and I spent like hours with them. I thought, are they going to ask me like, how's the podcast or what's going on with you? Nothing. I was like, all right. And it's happened a few times and I'm just like, all right, that's not my gang. I'll hang, but I'm not going to go in there with the expectation that it's going to be the hang that I really want. Right. There's more on that, but I will let Meredith says amen to that. Bruh, the struggle's real. Bruh, that's funny. My son, my 8-year-old, almost going to be 9-year-old son this Saturday. Bruh. I'm like, dude, I ain't your bro. I'm your fucking dad. Peachtree, Georgia in the house. Fucking A, Mark Gasser. Thank you, brother, for being here. I love you. Greetings from Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Wishing you all the gratitude, Thanksgiving. We have many blessings and much to be thankful for in our lives. Yeah, man. Yeah, I've known Mark for years, since the COVID days. I think we were on, what was it we used to do? We used to do Facebook Lives and man, some of those things we used to do at the beginning of COVID and helping people from all over the world. Did Clubhouse. Oh my God, the fucking app Clubhouse, right? That's where I met Meredith. Clubhouse in the house, right? How many hours upon hours I'd be excited. My wife's like, you're going to do Clubhouse again? And we'd fucking be in a room for 4 hours and helping people. It'd be 2:00 in the morning. Glenn Morshower would be fucking still kicking. And man, we help so many people. Do I still talk to people? Yeah, obviously. Meredith. Yeah, what's up? Got Nellie in the house, hooked on humanity. She says, sorry, I'm late. I was helping a neighbor, as you always do, because you're such a radiant person. You talk about being grateful. I mean, you get to know Nellie. You get to know Nellie and you realize, you can be grateful for fucking toast. That's how I am. My wife's still like, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, I'm just happy to eat. Still this fucking day. I can have crackers and still remember being homeless and eating crackers and being I'm grateful for these crackers. Right? Be grateful for the stuff in your life. Be grateful for what you don't have. Like, oh, if I had money and I had this and I had that, I can tell you this with absolute certainty. I've interviewed rock stars. I'm not only interviewed, talked to them, met them, actors and actresses and business leaders and all these people. I've been in the same room with these major people and I've had these private conversations with major people throughout my life. And they tell me, and I'm like, what would you want people to know the most about success? And every one of them in one way or another said that getting it is not the reward. The reward is the process of getting to get it. And the sleeping, like I think about rock musicians and they always talk about, man, I wouldn't want to do it again, but the days in the van, smelling each other's farts and eating cheeseburgers from McDonald's and fucking getting paid $10 to play to one person, whatever it might be. They talk about that and you can see the radiance in their life as they light up and talk about it. Like, now I got 20 cars and 3 houses and I see it. I watch interviews all the time. Famous people, rock stars, it's my jam is to watch interviews and to listen and watch people and to study people. And they're like, man, like even Jim Carrey said, I wish everybody could have success so they could realize it's not what they really want. Right. I was telling somebody a couple of days ago, I'm like, what are you up to, Chris? And I said, I'm up to fucking being retired. How about that? I'm not retired, but I'm not as gung-ho about accomplishment and success in the terms that I thought it was. I am so immensely grateful for my days, right? Getting my son up ready for school, picking him up from school, moments with my wife and movies and games and the holidays and playing. And now he's going to be 9. And now I've been working on my 69 Charger downstairs. And so he's into that. And we went to the tool store. I'm into soaking all of that up and drinking it in and being like, fuck, he's not going to be 9 forever. Man, his room's not going to be dirty forever. It's not going to be here forever. And in a flash, I'm going to be, oh, I wish his toys were still here. But if I was in my ego state and what I don't have and thinking, oh, if my podcast was seen by 2 million people, I don't know. I really don't know the numbers right now. I don't think it's 2 million. All said and done. Oh, or if I had this or had that, I used to think that way. Then I'll be happier. It's like, no, dude. I want my health to be better. So I'm working on that. I'm doing fucking seeing doctors and analyzing shit and doing stuff like harder than I've ever done it before. And I've been pretty aggressive about my health. But without your health, there's nothing. That's the bottom mic drop point I want to give you tonight. Without your health, the fucking ability to breathe. I have wonder in the ability to breathe. I have wonder in the ability to breathe. And I have a special guest who's going to be joining us in just a minute. But the ability to breathe, the ability, and I have people that had COVID and like, oh, I was on a ventilator. What was that like? That was fucking scary to wake up and be like, oh, I can't breathe on my own. I can't breathe on my own. Or people that get type 2. Hang on. Waiting to announce my special guest. People get diabetes. Like, oh, Chris, if I could go back, right? You get one body, you get one life. And I went to the cardiologist today, and he was basically, I go and get this thing called life screening, which is like ultrasounds of your carotids and your aorta and your femoral arteries. It's basically a scan, ultrasound of all your arteries to make sure your blood is flowing equally and not being bothered by plaque in your carotid arteries or anything like that. And he literally told me at 56, he goes, Chris, you're not going to have that problem. He goes, you don't have any of that. It's mild and you're fine. You have natural progressive hypertension for somebody who's your age. And so I was like, man, that's fucking cool, right? Just to be healthy and have the ability to get healthier, and the technology that we have and the ability to make different choices and learn how to cook and all these different things. Like, be absolutely fucking deeply grateful for every day you get to wake up. And I'll tell you this before I introduce my guest. I used to speak a lot on stages in front of thousands of people, and I would sit there and I'm like, okay, who here has financial issues? And everybody would raise their hand, or people that were too ego driven wouldn't raise their hand. And I'm like, okay, what could you do with $1 million? And people are, oh my God, man, $1 million, $1 million. I'm like, who in this room wants $1 million the most? People fucking get crazy. I'm like, you over there, you do $1 million. What would you do $1 million? They tell me, get all excited. And I said, all right. I said, if I give you $1 million cash right now, no taxes, no nothing, how would you feel? Oh my God. I'm like, okay, we're going to exchange the $1 million cash for your eyesight. Fucking lady sits down, stops being excited. She goes, nope. Everybody in the crowd starts going, nope. Somebody, I still do it. I can get by. I'd be blind. It's no big deal. My eyes are already. No. You give your eyes right now for $1 million. Do you do it? You said just said $1 million to change your life. You said $1 million to answer all your prayers. Or you said it would solve all your problems. No, you don't do that. Okay. Yeah, your eyesight's pretty important. Okay. How about $500,000? People are like, yeah, $500,000. Okay. What do I have to give up for that? Give me your legs. You're going to be paralyzed for the rest of your life, but you're going to have $500,000 cash, no taxes. $500,000, buy a house, buy cars, pay bills, get teeth, whatever you want to do, face surgery, hair follicles, whatever. People still don't do it. People don't do it. $1 million, $1.5 million. I'm like, when you wake up tomorrow and your eyes open, your feet hit the fucking ground, thank whoever. Be in a state of gratitude, be in a state of awe that you're still alive, still experiencing these moments and the opportunity to breathe and experience moments with other people. So I talk about him a lot on the show. He's the love of my life. He comes in here and pops in every once in a while. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be launching a podcast pretty soon. It's called The Daddy and Jackson Show. So please welcome to the Raw Unscripted Show, none other than my beautiful son, Jackson Rausch.
Hello.
There you go. Say hello, everybody. I'm Jackson Rausch.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jackson Rausch.
And my microphone just went crazy. See? It's the Daddy and Jackson Show, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about gratitude, it's gratitude for this guy. I mean, the joy, the learning lessons, the love, the miracles, right? It's stunning. And I don't use the word stunning very much. So Andrew says, Action Jackson. Meredith says, yay. Teaching him young. Got to love it. Yeah. I don't know where the world's heading, but I want to give him the opportunity to share his thoughts and his opportunities in front of a camera like I do and be able to communicate. So how you doing, Jackson Rausch? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm doing good.
You're being listened to and watched by a lot of people. Thousands upon thousands. You're not right now, but tomorrow you'll be in almost 30 countries. 30 countries around the world.
Wow, that's a lot of countries.
Nellie says, hello, Jackson. So what are you grateful for, Jackson? We did not rehearse this at all. I just said, come up here and you could be on the show. And I hooked up a microphone and here we are.
I am thankful for my family and friends.
Why?
Because they make me smile and happy.
Yeah. How would you feel if you lost them?
Super sad.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to be 9 on Saturday. Why do you think people aren't grateful?
I don't know.
Because they sometimes feel they deserve it. They feel like they don't deserve to have abundance in their life. Do you feel you deserve to have abundance?
Wait, what is abundance?
Do you deserve to be happy and to have great things and people in your life?
Yeah.
Why? Because you're a good person?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you a good person? Just say from your heart, why are you a good person? Or tell me why you're not a good person. It's the Raw Unscripted show. You could tell me why you're not a good person. You could tell me why you're a good person. You want me to tell you why I'm a good person?
Why?
Because I love and care about people, because I'm honest, I'm trustworthy, I'm respectful, I'm compassionate, I'm giving, I'm loyal. I listen, I care. I value myself. I take care of myself. I'm a good person. Try to make the world a better place every single day. Make you smile, make you think, make you a future man of the world. I'm a great person. Nellie says, I don't know why people aren't grateful either, Jackson. Jimmy Dennis, what's up, Jimmy in the house? He says, happy early birthday. Thank you, Jimmy. We got to connect, man. We got to see what's going on. We keep talking about it. Jimmy Dennis, if you guys don't know Jimmy Dennis, you guys got to Google his name. He was on the Unfiltered Experience. He's been on the Raw Unscripted show as well. His story of being on death row for 25 years is just horrific. And the man is fighting justice now to this day. So thank you, Jimmy, for being here. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for our relationship. I'm grateful for that. That I have all these relationships with all you guys. Like none of us have ever met in person, I don't think. But I have all these beautiful people in my life, and I'm in your lives, right? So Jackson and I have this ritual every night when I put him to bed. And he asks me questions and I ask him questions. So usually he says, how many questions do I get, Dad? And usually I say 2 to 3, depending on what time it is and how the day is going. So Jackson asked me a question earlier today, and I said, I tell you what, why don't you hold that question for when we do the podcast later tonight? Do you remember what the question was?
Yeah, would you rather meet your young self, your old self, or future self?
Well, it wouldn't your old self and your future self be the same one? Or would you say it differently? My old self who's sad, or my future self who's happy? Well, here, I'll answer part of the question. How would I feel about meeting my future self? I've thought a lot about that. And I think that's a great question. I think we should always, all of us, be thinking about, okay, who is that future version of me? Right? You're 9 years old now, and you got to start thinking a little bit like, what's my future version of myself going to be? Is it going to be a police officer? Is it going to be a drummer? Am I going to be an engineer? Like, you start thinking about that and you start getting an idea in your mind of who you want to be. And so I think about who I want to be and how I want to be. And I think I want to be somebody who's healthy and strong and here for you and here for my family. Making the world a better, doing everything I'm doing now, even more as I get older. But the thought of the question, the way you asked it before, how would I feel about meeting my old self and meeting the version of myself that didn't try, and the version of myself that gave up, and the version of myself that didn't take care of myself? That would be sad and depressing. That's ultimately a lot of what drives me now, is that I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want to look back on my life and say, oh, I half-assed it, or I didn't try hard enough. That's what I'm always telling you. What do I say? Unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do I say all together?
Kick-ass unstoppable.
Kick-ass unstoppable. Whoops, you guys can't see it. By the way, you guys keep asking me about merchandise. I'm going to be doing merchandise in 2026, but I have the Kick-ass unstoppable hat right there. It's a prototype. It's not a snapback, but actually it says Kick-ass unstoppable on the back too. Yeah, see? But yeah, so you gotta have the faith, and like I said, told you guys before, that's why it says believe. You have to. And when I didn't believe, that's when I wasn't happy. But I gotta believe every day that I wake up that I can feel a little bit better. I have to believe right now more than ever. Hang on. I have to believe more than ever that love will win over fear in what's going on in the world. And there's a lot of depressing stuff, and I see it and I hear it, and it breaks my heart. But again, I believe that 80% of the population are really good-hearted people, and 20% of the population needs some help. And I believe that the 80% could definitely teach the 20%, and that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. So Merida says, I'm getting my future self all the way together. You'll never be all the way together, girl. You never will. I promise you. You get to one step, and then you realize, okay, there's another step, and there's another step. And as you get older, more of that shit happens. I can't remember how old you are, but I'm 56, going to be 57. And there's a lot of aha moments and things that happen as you get older. And it's just to enjoy the journey. It's like, can I be happy right now? Yeah. Am I struggling right now? Am I whatever? Yeah, that's the truth. But here I can be happy, and I'm not on the streets, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. I'm not living on a ventilator. I just didn't get diagnosed with cancer today. I just went to a cancer doctor's office today. I went to see an oncologist for blood work, but it was a compassionate cancer office. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I told the lady, I said, I don't have cancer. I'm just here to get my ferritin checked. Right. So gratitude. So what do you want to say out to all the people watching about Thanksgiving and what to be thankful for? You actually have to talk, Jackson. He's so talkative when the mic's not on. Just be natural. We're just sitting here in my studio. What do you want to say? Are you done? Do you want to do it anymore? We have to keep talking. People are watching and listening to us. Andrew says, sounds like you two should do a positive tune guitar. I think it says a closing lesson, Unstoppable. Yeah, he's been taking drum lessons, and I've been practicing my guitar, and actually I'm going to be taking singing lessons here. I told you guys about that. So when you think about, we'll just go back to the show, and he can look pretty on camera. So the last thing I put down here, gratitude for the breakdowns that become breakthroughs. The gratitude for the breakdowns that become breakthroughs. And I will tell you this, the year he was born, 2016, before he came into our lives in November, earlier that spring, I went through a self-imposed sabbatical, as I like to talk about it. Some people might talk about it in terms of my friend Jock, who I recently had a conversation, again, having beautiful people in your life. He said, I think you're having an existential crisis. And I said, I don't think so. That sounds crazy. And I went and Googled it afterwards, and I'm like, wow, that pretty much sounds right up there. It sounds pretty much right up there. An existential crisis. And in 2016, I was like, okay. I was in my head a lot. I was in scarcity a lot. I was in lack and all these different negative emotions. And I realized it. And I thought, okay, why am I going through this? I've been through all these experiences before, and I was mad and I was frustrated. And then I just ultimately just said, it's a journey. It's a journey, and I can choose to be mad about it and ignore it and drink my way through it, or I can get honest, sober, and realize that there's some growth here. And so I stopped coaching and I stopped speaking, and I just said, I want to be a normal person. And I had my corporate job and I was very successful in that. And for about 6 months, I didn't do any coaching. I didn't do any personal development. I hardly came in this room, which is my office and my studio and stuff like that. That's when it was more of an office, and I've created it more to be a studio, to be fun because of that whole thing. But through that, just in 2016, that break was so great for me to stop and experience life and not be so in the go. Oh, when I accomplish this and I do this, and if I'm known for this and I'm smart, the smartest person in the room, and it was exhausting. I'm like, what would life be like if I wasn't that person anymore? I don't need to go 1,000 miles an hour. I don't need to keep all the plates spinning because I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of being homeless again. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to take that break, and it was great. There was another time in my life where my mom died in 2012. So 2010, 2011, my adrenals crashed once. And then in 2012, 2013, they crashed again. And through that process, I woke up in the morning and I felt like I'd been dropped off a 17-story building, and my bones hurt, everything hurt. And I went to the doctor after a couple of months, and they said, your adrenals are shot. And I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I got to take to fix that? And they said, nothing, you need to rest. And I'm like, what's that? And so I hired a psychologist or a therapist at that point. Same thing. And I said, let's do some work. Let's find out. And it wasn't until the 5th meeting with this lady who I was about to fire, because if you don't get a therapist you like, you have to get new ones, because I've got no therapy and it didn't work. I'm like, you need to go to a different therapist. Oh, okay, well, keep fucking shooting yourself in the dick. Went to the therapist the 5th session. She said, when did you stop being a kid? And I sat back and I'm like, that's a really good question. Funny enough, I think I said I was 9. And that caused me to go down a rabbit hole to learn, not really learn, but to accept that I don't need to be constantly doing something and validating myself, and just to take a deep breath. Well, people listening on the podcast can't see what Jackson's doing, but he's infatuated with how he looks on the camera. But so I hired that therapist, and I was like, okay, I need to have fun more. And still to this day, God is my witness. That was 13 years ago. Still to this day, on my calendar, anything that's coded green is for fun. Anything that's coded green is for fun. And so I have to make it a point. I get to make it a point, because there's, again, the language you use. I get to make it a point to make sure I'm scheduling fun on my calendar. Even now, in this period of my life where I'm more relaxed than I've ever been, there's still that guilt. And guilt leads to shame. And so if you have guilt and shame going on in your life, can you truly be happy? Can you truly be fulfilled? Can you truly be present in the moment? No, you can't. Are you leaving?
Yeah, I'm just stretching my legs.
Okay. It's almost actually going to be over here in a minute anyway. Hey babe, or Jackson, come here. Mom's watching us. She's watching on my phone. I can't see you though. The picture cut you both off. Oh yeah, because the new feature is showing vertical. So yeah, if you're on your phone, come here. See, look on that screen. We have to be in the frame like this if you're looking on your phone. That's interesting. Well, here we'll just be super close. So Mom's watching. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetie. We love you. We're grateful for you. That's what we're talking about on the show tonight. Meredith says here, she goes, that's where I'm at right now. Yeah, I know you are. That's why remind me to send you that video, Meredith. It's 22 minutes long. It's pretty crazy, but just embrace that. Embrace. I know that you just experienced a loss of somebody significant in your life. So what are you gaining from that? How does Meredith gain in your respect? How do your self-respect? How do you gain in your opportunity? I look at those relationships when they end is like, okay, that obviously wasn't the person for me. That wasn't the person for me. And I think back upon my relationships and how I got to Barb, my relationship to Barb. Like, okay, I had to go through a lot of heartbreak. She had to go through a lot of heartbreak. And then one day I was at a networking event and somebody said, what are you going to do to spice up these events, Chris? And I said, I don't know. I think naked strip musical chairs. Swear to God. And my wife now said, turn around. She goes, hi, I'll play. And I was like, oh, so, yeah, we're going to play. You leaving?
Yeah.
I love you so much. You say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
The best. I think about Foo Fighters. All right, well, I'll be down in just a few moments. Thank you, buddy. I love you. Thank you. So that's interesting. Thank you for telling that, babe. I see the studio now. They show us, because a lot of people watch on their phones, that they should give us a phone version. So yeah. So there, now I'm in the phone version. Now I'm in the middle, which I'm always in the middle anyway, but I never had anybody in the studio with me. So that's pretty cool. I've interviewed hundreds, if not thousands of people in my life. So there. So let's wrap this up and put a bow on this conversation tonight. So I can sit here and I can inspire you. I can tell you all these things, but like what Meredith is experiencing and what I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing is just take a breath, take a beat. I write in a journal. I don't have one of them near me, but I keep paper. I write down like 3 things I'm grateful for today. Like, what am I really grateful for? I'm grateful for the fact that I made the grocery store clerk smile. I'm grateful for the fact that I inspired so many people with a video I did on TikTok. I'm grateful for the moments that I had walking my son and my dog tonight, my new dog, Scooby. Man, you find things to be grateful for. And again, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you're focusing on all the troubles and the challenges, and yes, there are plenty of them. And yes, it's good to be a part of it. It's great to be a part of the solution, but don't overwhelm yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself with the responsibility to have it all figured out right now. Like I told Meredith earlier, there's different phases and jumps in your life. I've been studying aging process and the different emotions and things that we go through and the psychology of it. And I know that there's points when I hit 60, there's going to be a shift, and 62 and 65 and then 70. And apparently the wheels come off the fucking thing at 72. So I get to choose now to do the things and I'm being more active than I've ever been, even though I'm in a lot of pain, because 10 years, I might not be able to do the shit I'm doing right now, even though doing what I'm doing now hurts, but that's what I'm doing. I'm like, keep moving, keep going. The pain's going to be there irregardless. But here's the thing. And here's what I'm going to leave you with, because you guys stayed this long. It's about what you're tolerating. I've talked about it so many times here on the show. My coaching exercise with my clients, it's one of the most powerful ones they do besides the eulogy exercise. But just write down what you're tolerating from yourself, what you're tolerating from inanimate objects, like fucking dryer door doesn't close, my mirror on my car doesn't work, whatever it might be, all the things that are frustrating you. What are you tolerating from inanimate objects? Say that. And what are you tolerating from other people? So what are you tolerating from yourself? What are you tolerating from others? What are you tolerating from objects? And you write that list out. And I promise you, I give people 7 days. They come back to me and they have like 3 or 4 things in each category. And I'm like, no, because I know the person by that point and I know what it is that you're tolerating. I'm like, yeah, you need to go back and be honest with yourself, and you need to really examine some of the situations that you're in. Like, think about it when you're doing the laundry. What do you have to deal with? When you're making lunches, when you're doing this, when you're doing that, what are you tolerating? And then just decide, when you realize that and you get honest with yourself, fuck, I'm tolerating a lot of shit. And it's not that you're not going to have to tolerate things in your life, but you can sit there and look at it like, what are the low-hanging fruit of the things that I'm tolerating, right? I tell the light switch story all the time. My bathroom switch, I'd have to jiggle it for the lights to come on. And then one day I was so mad because I tolerated it for so long. I said, fuck this. I'm going to Home Depot right now. I'm going to figure this out. Long story short, went to Home Depot, bought a light switch. I think it was 98 cents, or it might've been $1.98 because I got the white one. I don't know. But all in all, it was an hour and 15 minutes and I changed the light switch. It was three wires. And every time I walked into that bathroom, I kid you not, I flipped that light switch on and I felt joy. Joy from a light switch. Oh my God. The things we tolerate in our life. So you can sit there and say, what's the low hanging fruit? What am I tolerating for myself? I don't keep my promises. All right. Effective tomorrow. I'm not going to try to keep my promises, you motherfuckers. You don't try. You just do it. You decide. You wake up with that conviction, that energy in your mind that says, no, I'm not giving up. If I had a camera watching me right now, would I be proud of the actions that I'm taking? Would I be proud of the values that I'm exhibiting right now? I think about it often. I walked by a little tiny piece of a candy bar wrapper the other day, and I walked by and I'm like, God damn, I always have to pick stuff up. And then I just turned around and said, shut up, Chris, and pick it up. I spent less time picking it up than I did bitching about it. Think about that. How much time you bitch about something and you don't do fuck all about it. There is a computer in your hand. A computer, fuckers. A computer. I use it all the time. I use AI. I use chat. I use Google. I ask Alexa. I'm constantly learning. I'm going on YouTube. Like, Jesus, the answers are there. I did it to myself tonight. I'm like, oh, I should be eating better. Should, Chris? Really? Fucking should all over yourself. And I said that. I said, really, Chris? That's what you're going to say? Then why aren't you, Chris? If I had the answers, why aren't I doing these things? And you need to ask yourself that. When will you have had enough? Meredith says, what a concept, right? Yeah. Let me ask you this question. When will you have had enough? And I promise you, when I ask my coaching clients that very centered question, I'm like, I don't know, Chris. I'm like, yeah, you do. So imagine that point. What are you going to do? You get to the breaking point where, like, there's a movie from the old days called Falling Down. It's Michael Douglas. He's a very mild-mannered, meeky, geeky, nerdy dude who fucking explodes and loses his shit. It's a fucking great movie. It's a great movie. But again, it's about you're tolerating all the little things. The visor that drops down, whatever it might be, the fucking radio that doesn't tune in, and you're right? Meredith says, I've had enough. Good. You should be smiling about that. Right? So when you think about it, like, when have I had enough? When will I have had enough of me lying to myself? When will I have had enough of putting up and making everybody first? When will I have had enough of having everybody take advantage of me? When will I have had enough of being a doormat? People sit there, oh, I'm this and I'm that. And I'm like, when are you going to have enough? Because you're the one making the choice. You're the one that's listening to the person on the phone for an hour talk about themselves and never ask about you. And you do it all the time. And then you get on my coaching call and you're like, oh, so-and-so. I'm like, you need to fire that person. You got to fire that person. Kool-Aid. Hey. I was just doing that the other day. Busting through the Kool-Aid guy. If you guys are young, go back and watch the commercial, the Kool-Aid guy. It was almost like Fat Albert. That's why I get them mixed up. If you don't know who Fat Albert is, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. So there you have it. The Raw Unscripted show. Talking about stop ignoring the gifts in your struggles. Grateful for me. Be grateful for me, and I'll be grateful for you. Grateful that you guys share this episode out. So every one of you truckers, I want to see it on your social media. Share it out and say, hey, man, I just watched the show. I just listened to the show, and Chris made me think about this. Like, don't just share it. I appreciate that. But share it and say, hey, what did you learn from this? And not only that, like, sit down after this and write some stuff down and say, hey, you know what? Starting tomorrow, I'm going to commit to walking for 15 minutes every day and not listening to anything and not talking on the phone and just thinking about my life and thinking about the tolerations and thinking about the little small actions that I could take that will build upon themselves, that will allow me in 6 months to a year to look back and go, shit, what a journey. Got some dust on me. All right, what's next? The Raw Unscripted show, guys. We'll be back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Most of them are absolutely 100% live like they are right now. Sometimes I've been recording them to spend time with my family because right now it's 7 o'clock and dinner is downstairs and I'm starving. But I love doing these live with you guys. So thank you. I will see you back here next week. And stay kick-ass, classy, San Diego.